pens are 8 by 16 or 8 by 24.
So
Or
that's
some of them are 8 by 18, according to what kind of lumber I had.
so back to the theme that I've been pushing all the while for quite some time is, again, all of us that raise birds do stuff very similar. And a lot of pheasant breeders have the same size pens. It's 8 by 16. Or for young birds, they'll have like a 4 by 16, a long narrow pen. And I don't know what yours are. I think yours is a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. People are doing stuff, successful people are doing stuff pretty much the same way, again and again.
But now you notice that there's not much planted. And everybody goes, well, you need that for enrichment. Well, okay, as many pens as we have, we got to walk down and look at those birds as easy as we can. Mm-hmm. Plus, we have rats and mice and everything else when we put a lot of stuff in there. And my deal is, if the birds feel secure, not threatened, they don't care if they have a pretty flowering azalea. Mm-hmm. They just want to be comfortable. I mean, it would be nice if we had plants.
And that's really a good point because, nowadays the idea is birds are people too, but they don't say, oh geez, I'm going to go over and smell that flower. That's a beautiful flower. At least as far as we know, we don't. But back in the 80s and before, we used to say that the older breeders would say, and a lot of stuff was still coming in from Asia and Europe and Africa. We were still getting a lot of wild caught stuff, and the idea was with old breeders was if they're breeding, they're content.
Yes.
And if they're laying and breeding, they're content. And that we kind of lost sight of that whole idea. I don't know if it's because through selection they're laying whether they're content or not. I don't know.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you got a pair that can lay it and fertile eggs, then you're successful, no matter what the pen looks like.
Yep.
But I mean, I've tried planting stuff in there. During the summertime, they die or the birds eat it, and then we have all of this is heavy shading. We get hot in the summertime, and all the shade prevents a lot of stuff from growing.
So, okay, obviously we talked about the Siamese, the Bornean, the Malaysian, the Siamese firebacks, and those are all from warmer climates. What about the cooler climate birds? Did you see a difference in the summertime, them getting through the hot temperatures? And
okay, I used to build pens with a permanent back north end. Okay, that's when I would have trouble with the Impians, all of the northern type stuff, because that solid wall kept air moving. Mm-hmm. Well, all the summer, all those are open, and it makes a lot of difference. Especially with some shade trees, there's a little bit of air going most of the time, and I think so far that's worked out. The only time I've ever lost, we had Impians. The summer we had 68 days of 100 and over. But now I would go out there in the afternoon, about 4 o'clock, take the hose and just wet down the ground. And that cools it off tremendously.
Like a Louisiana swamp?
Yeah.
Swamp,
we're dry in the summertime. We are extremely dry. And that moisture just cools it down real quick. Because, if you can drop, the ground, let's say it's 108 degrees, but the ground is hotter than that if the sun's shining.
Pull well water out at 55 degrees or whatever. But isn't this where Louisiana swamp coolers came from, down in Louisiana, where you
Yeah.
pump the swamp water out and you blow a fan on it and you
Well, there was
cool everything down?
used to. Well, they would even take Spanish moss, put it in between some wire,
Ah, run some water through it?
and then drip water through there, and then the air going through would cool it off.
Yeah, so you can hang moss on the side of your pens and
Yeah,
drip some
right.
water.
I have enough. This old man has enough trouble walking through and doing all this as it is. But that's going to be more Tim's. And I'll get the leaf blower and blow off the leaves sooner or later. But usually the peafowl, as soon as I change the water, the peafowl will start running down, up and down there and drop
Shit and everything.
the leaves falling down. And you see we use those fancy watering containers.
Yep.
And I don't like blinders, but every once in a while we have to use them.
Yep. So,
Ron Johnson had a pair of
yeah, and our-
Mikados that he had to use.
yep. So I was actually asking Ron about tables on the Mikados, and I see you got a table there for the
And
female to run
And
underneath.
she won't do it.
She won't do it,
No.
so she just gets beat up.
Well,
Well, not with his blinders on.
okay, that style of blinders is not good. If he gets bad, I'm going to have to take that one off. Ordered some in and put them on there, but he can still see too much. I had another Mikado over there that put the blinders on there, and it was like, I can see everything, and he just tore up the females all the time. Well, we were swapping them back and forth from pins. Well, now we got to use every pin that we've got, so we changed blinders on him.
So is this all you need for? You just use these pens for young birds for these Java peacocks,
No,
or
this is our breeder pair over here.
so they stay in this size pen?
Yeah. All they do is strut and lay eggs. Now, when he's full display, he almost covers that whole pen.
Muticus, muticus.
Yeah. They didn't like the cold at all. Zero is just too much for them. But he's healing. So if I walk in there,
Did you just get a little bit of frostbite on his knob there?
yeah,
Yeah.
we had less on zero than we did when it went to 8.
So what would happen if you put Vaseline on that knob?
I ain't
To
gonna
insulate it.
fool. I ain't gonna fool with it.
You know, these chicken people say you gotta put Vaseline on it.
I've heard it, but
But I personally think that if you put Vaseline on it, it's gonna freeze just as easily.
well, how long is it gonna stay on there?
Exactly.
I'm not gonna go and stretch the birds out, catching them up and putting Vaseline on them. No, no.
A little bit for me, a little bit for you.
But I will tell you what we do on birds that get scalped and all that Corona ointment. God, that stuff will heal up the
Corona
bruise.
ointment, what's that?
It's something the horse people use and all like that. But you can have a bird that the skull is showing.
Yep.
Smear that on there and it heals up unbelievably.
Really?
In fact, I use it on myself a lot.
Why you crack your skull?
Yeah, or cut.
Those
or
little
anything.
tobacco pens there?
Well, listen, all this is not wrinkles. This is from cuts from catching birds. Because I don't
Oh,
know
you're full of
why.
shit, huh?
When you
You're full of
when
shit.
you when you go in there to catch a bird, they'll be flying around, and one of them's always going to go with their toe. Let's say the bird just now got scalped, and it's blood and it's soft. It won't stick. You wait a couple hours until it starts drying up, and then you smear it on there. Unbelievable. The first time somebody told me, I was going, yeah, right. And then I tried it, and I go, yeah, right.
Pheasant breeders would know more than anything about stuff like that, I would think.
Well, you get all these people that tell you stuff that don't work,
Yeah, because they get it off the internet.
and then you're leery about stuff.
You use pumpkin seeds? Or...
No. No. We don't need no introduction
Exactly.
for no video.
That's what I said.
Thanks for taking the video.
If everybody doesn't know who Kelly McMullan is, they shouldn't be watching it anyway, right?
They go, who's that snuff-dipping old man?
But at least he doesn't have wrinkles. It's from Corona.
Yeah.